more can you say about Sauce Gardner going to the Colts?
I think this was the one that caught people by surprise. Quinnen Williams, there had been a lot of chatter about. This was the one that all of a sudden came out of nowhere. Sauce Gardner tweets out that it was great being in New York, and people thought it was a joke. They thought it was a joke that he was saying. Like, you weren't expecting Sauce Gardner to be dealt, but the deal is that the Colts felt like they had a window now. They've got the best record in football. They're sitting there on top of the AFC. They have a chance to win the division. They have a chance to get home field advantage. They have a chance in the first season without the late, great Jim Irsay to have a memorable season. And so this reminds me a little bit of the Commanders last year when the Commanders had an unexpectedly great year, and right at the deadline, they traded for Marshawn Lattimore. They went out and did that. Now, the Indianapolis Colts have gone out and traded essentially the price that the Packers got, or the Cowboys got back from Micah Parsons.
Which now the Cowboys use some of that capital. It's kind of interesting.
2 ones and a player to get a front-line defensive starter. There aren't many cornerbacks, if any, that are much better than Sauce Gardner. And to get a player of that stature, that magnitude, the Colts felt like they had to give up double ones and A.D. Mitchell, and they did.
And not only is he a frontline player, he's a perfect fit with Lou Anarumo. I work with Lou in Miami. He wants to play man-to-man. Actually, we drafted Xavier Howard, who ironically was with them for a couple of weeks earlier in the season. It's that same prototype. It's length. It's somebody that can have really good ball skills. The Colts were 29th guys on third down defense. It wasn't good enough. This is a frontline player in the prime of his career that's a perfect scheme fit. So when you check all those boxes, it allows Chris Ballard to take this calculated risk. And Ab, to your point about them being surprised, I was texting with A.J. Vaynerchuk of VaynerMedia, who represents Sauce Gardner, and his words were shocking and stunned. They had no idea this was coming. So not only are we surprised, but so was Sauce.
Yeah, Sauce's brother is his agent. They said they had no idea anything was going to happen, but they did hear, I believe, from some of the coaching staff once it had already happened.
Now, there had been a lot of chatter across the league that the Indianapolis Colts were making a lot of calls and checking in on frontline defensive players. And there were a lot of names that I thought of that could wind up in Indy. But of all the names I thought of, if I'm being honest, Sauce Gardner was not one of the names that I expected to wind up in Indianapolis.
You were probably thinking pass rush. Someone to go opposite Latu. Even though right now, in terms of sacks, they're top 10 in the NFL in sacks. They're 11th in QBR allowed, third in interception. So Lou has still been able to kind of hold it together, especially in the back end, with a very, let's just say, less than star-studded secondary. But now, as Mike just alluded to, they're in the top half of the league in terms of, the frequency with which they like to play man coverage. That's about to go up, especially with this dude, because this guy is a lockdown chess piece. He's a guy who you can move around. And so now, as they get into the meat of their schedule and they get into the postseason, and you're dealing with teams that have absolute game breakers in the AFC, Sauce is one of those movable pieces now that you can move around. Now, if they still have enough, do they still have enough pass rush? Is pass rush going to still be an issue for them once they get into the postseason? We will see. But Lou has done a fantastic job this year. After last year being like unceremoniously just dumped out of Cincinnati.
Well, the Bengals defense still stinks. So.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it kind of tells the tale as far as how that goes. But yeah, this is a heck of a move for Chris Ballard. This is a heck of a redemption year for Chris Ballard and the Colts overall.
And Lou, speaking of redemption, the other thing this trade screams to us is Daniel Jones is the Colt quarterback for the foreseeable future. It's amazing. A couple months ago, we're sitting here in August saying, is it Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones? Now, trade away all these draft choices, it's Daniel Jones, who doesn't have a contract for next year. So either they sign him to a deal that I think is probably in the Baker Mayfield range, or I'm sure they're going to franchise him. But obviously, this is a strong signal that we are set at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it looks like they're going all in. The Seahawks also doing that. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And a reminder that Adam Schefter has told us this is one of the wildest, most significant trade deadlines we have seen. There's still more time for things to happen, right?
Look, these are two veterans of this sport. Have you ever remembered a trade deadline where there was more significant action than this one?
We've done a lot of shows like this, dude, in our time. Never. Especially when I'm sitting in the green room. I mean, I'm hearing people in the studio here before we come on air screaming, "Whoa, what? They're doing what?" I mean, so that just tells you right there. There's a lot of juice going on today.
There is. A lot of these teams that believe they can be contenders, they said, we hit November, we're going all in, we're going to make something happen. Go ahead, Mike T.
And I know we'll get into it later in the show, but I think this has massive impact in April in terms of next year's draft and what some teams are going to be doing.
Well, as Adam said, the Jets have set themselves up to control the draft already. Jets to the Cowboys. We've also seen Sauce Gardner go to the Colts. But how about this? Rashid Shaheed going to Seattle. This is a massive move, Adam Schefter.
Well, the New Orleans Saints had 3 receivers who were up in the air. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a veteran. Chris Olave is a player they want to re-sign and keep in New Orleans long-term. Rashid Shaheed, his contract was up after this year. And so the Saints looked around in the situation they're in, and they decided, you know what? If we can get back 2 draft picks the way they did today, a 4th and a 5th-round pick for a player who's set to become a free agent, who we may not be paying in the future, why would we not do that? And so New Orleans goes ahead. There had been a lot of speculation and expectation that Shaheed would be the one receiver that the Saints would trade today, and they did. I think the surprise was that it was the Seattle Seahawks. Like, you heard the Pittsburgh Steelers, you heard the Buffalo Bills, you heard the Denver Broncos. Was anybody talking about Seattle, who has Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's got Cooper Kupp, who's got double tight ends, who's got Torrey Horton, the rookie that emerged on Sunday night again? Was anybody expecting the Seahawks to add a deep threat like that to Sam Darnold's arsenal?
Yeah, I think, look, their GM, John Schneider, is all in right now. He realizes he's got a quarterback that it's not by accident that he is number 2 in total QBR, number 2 in CPOE, completion percentage above expected. Sam Darnold is playing out of his mind right now. And he's got 2 just stud tight ends, a running game that needs to get going. But right now, look, he has built this wide receiver room absolutely perfectly. Think of what JSN brings to him as far as a guy who can play inside and outside. Rashid is a vertical field stretcher. When Cooper comes back and he's healthy, he is one of the best slot receivers in the entire NFL. And then Torrey Horton as a youngster, now he's the guy who's a 3-position, 3-tool player too. So this offense right now is able to deal with any team in the NFL in terms of pure firepower. But there is no question that Sam, and the way he is playing, is the driving force behind why now you feel comfortable just adding and picking and choosing pieces to kind of continue to add to this offense. They need to solidify the middle of this offensive line for sure and get the running game going, because its yards per carry is not where it needs to be. But wow. Seattle's loaded now.
I want to hear what you have to say, but just quickly, when you think about, you already thought Seattle's a contender. How much of a difference do you think this makes? Is it that dramatic to where you say, okay, this pushes them over some sort of edge, or did you already think they were there?
Yeah, they were there, but I mean, you've seen the highlights on Rashid. You've seen his whole career. He is a game breaker. He will win the game on one play for you. And now you got 2 of those guys, because JSN has shown that he can do that too. And Torrey Horton's no slouch. And when Cooper comes back, I mean, come on now. That's a lot to deal with, especially when the quarterback is sitting here playing. Don't forget about me. I'm in the MVP race.
Right.
So
yeah, I agree. It all makes sense. I'm a little surprised we're not talking about Breece Hall to the Seahawks, because that's the one thing they don't have is.
Wait, really fast. Breece Hall, you think he's going to be traded?
The Seahawks?
Or just to anywhere?
Well, my point is, here's another young, explosive offensive player in the last year of his deal. Kenneth Walker's a good player. Zach Charbonnet is a good player. They're loaded at receiver, and if you get a home run threat at the right,
they got to get some old linemen. Is what
his
they got to get.
contract's up after this year too, so they have,
That's what
3 players on expiring
That's what. No, my point is, like, if you're the Seahawks, because you already have all these really good productive players at receiver, if you're going to take a shot at an expiring contract, why not someone like Breece Hall? But I totally agree with what Lou said. Like, this team is complete, and this just makes them better. The one question is going to be, we're nitpicking here, their right guard and running back position.
Well, I feel like that was a no about Breece Hall potentially to the Seahawks.
Well, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Good idea, though, Mike.
Thank you.
I think a lot of players in New York right now are saying, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You got Quincy Williams tweeting, Breece Hall tweeting emojis, a lot of questions.
You know what's going on there. I mean, Mike, we were just talking about it in the green room. They're sending a message to this football team overall, like, hey, look, these guys were pillar players. They were cornerstone players. Sauce is a cornerstone player.
Yes.
Quinnen is a cornerstone player. But something has to be done dramatically to shake up the fabric of what's going on there, because it's almost like woven too far into it that they can't really they can't extract it without just taking everybody and saying, look, we got to start over. And that's what they're trying to do.
House.
Exactly.
Yeah, it definitely does. All right, let's leave this here because I want to get to Jakobi Meyers going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville continues to make moves. We saw them doing this in the draft to go up to 2 to get Travis Hunter. This is obviously a different situation. But Jakobi Meyers comes in less than a week after they announced they were placing rookie wideout Travis Hunter on injured reserve.
Well, as my friend Brian Windhorst would say, what's going on in Jacksonville here that they're trading for another wide receiver.
Wait. Do that again. Let's put a camera on Adam because we need to see that in real time. There we go.
What is going on in Jacksonville right here right now
Thank
that
you.
they're trading for another wide receiver?
You insiders, man.
I know, I love it.
And again, here's the situation as I think it is playing out right now. They also are in position to win that division, potentially, make the playoffs, have a great season in Liam Cohn and James Gladstone's first year in charge in Jacksonville. They have an opportunity. And last week, Travis Hunter goes down in practice. It's a knee injury.
Stinks. Yeah.
He's out indefinitely. He is out indefinitely.
Yeah.
He is on IR, and there are questions about when he's going to be back this season. Brian Thomas Jr. suffered a low-grade high ankle sprain on Sunday. Now, there's a chance he's going to be able to play as early as this Sunday. But now you're missing Travis Hunter. Now you potentially could be without Brian Thomas for a game or two or not. You're a little short or a little light at the wide receiver position that they care so much about. Liam Cohn loves his wide receivers. And so they see a guy in Jakobi Meyers who other teams have really liked and really been interested in. And he's going to be a free agent after this year. But I think they felt like the opportunity was too great not to trade for him and give up a 4th and 6th round pick. Last thing, they had 13 draft picks in the upcoming draft this year entering today, and still after the trade for Jakobi Meyers have 11 picks in 7 rounds.
One other interesting aspect of this allows Travis Hunter maybe to focus a little bit more on corner because you have Jakobi Meyers, who's a really good receiver with Brian Thomas. And Travis Hunter, obviously, he has to get healthy, but maybe this is a way you could solidify 2 positions, receiver with Myers and Hunter more at corner.
Yeah, look, I think you got to continue to take care of Trevor, too, now. You can't have all of his weapons. Well, there goes Schefter. He gave me the wave off. You got to continue to take advantage of the players that are available to make sure that your quarterback is now all of a sudden not just devoid of talent.